They're saying there are ways for us to decentralize power in Iran without going for federalists, because most Iranians are terrified regarding separatists, and they think federalism is one step closer to making separatists stronger. So a lot of Iranian people think separatists, and actually statistics shows that the separatists are a small minority of Iranians. However, they're very loud, and for some reason, the international community makes their voices louder, even though they're a small percentage of Iranians. Most Iranians are very the most important metric for them, the most important priority is to keep Iran intact. So the border integrity of Iran is the highest priority for most Iranians, and anybody that gives any worth to separatists, they will consider that to be the enemy and outsiders, and they don't want to work with them, right? And also, a lot of the separatists are the actual separatists are the people who talk about federalism, because they know if Iran becomes a federalist country, then each state by itself, each province, sorry, by itself, will be able to vote to separate for the rest of Iran without requiring the vote of the rest of the country. So they know this is one more step towards separatism. So there's like, we could figure out decentralization of power without going to becoming a federal country. How regarding to what is the solution, right? So we have 4 camps, right? Let's separate Iranian people regarding what is the solution, right? So camp number 1 are the people who support the regime. They want an Islamic Republic, and they say this is all good. Should I give you the numbers of what percentage each one of these are? I could bring out the number to tell you what percentage of each one of these camps. Do you want me to do that?
I think not. If you can send it to me later and I can add it to the
Okay.
description, it would be ideal, I think.
Okay. So this is a small minority. It's it has very rapidly been lowering, right? So just within a few months after the master revolution, it went from 20% all the way to 8% within a few months, and now it's reducing even more. Like, so I don't know how much below 8% it is, but last time we checked with scientifically collected data, it was 8%, right? So this is the lowest cap, right? Then the next camp of people are the reformers, the people who don't want to remove the regime, and they say that maybe we could just fix it within the framework that we have, right? And these people are now hated the most in Iran, because everybody hates them. Both the pro-regime people hate them, and the anti-regime people hate them as well, because the anti-regime people think that the only reason why the Islamic Republic is still in place is because of the false hope for reform that these people have been given the public. Like the anti-regime people think that the only way for us to topple this government is for more people to realize that reform is impossible under the conditions that we're in. Like, there is, within the frame, this regime is not something that you could negotiate with. This regime only dangles the hope of negotiation and promises of reform in front of you, just so that it could oppress you longer, just so that maybe this time is different, maybe this time the reformers. So this is why one of the most famous chants in the streets of Iran is Islah talab usul gera dige tamum majero. So people chanting in the streets saying, hardliners, reformists, your time is up. And the reformers are even hated more because many Iranian people think that at least with the hardliners, we get what we see. The reformers are two-faced people that are lying to us, that are giving us false hope, and they are deceiving us, and they are snakes, basically. So they are one of the most hated groups in Iran, right? Then when it comes to the people who want the Islamic Republic so the 2 last camps, right? The people who want the Islamic Republic to go away, and eventually we evolved out of the Islamic Republic. Then the next group are the people who think that we could remove the Islamic Republic, but not with one single push, like one day people coming in the millions in the streets and then just topple the regime, but by gradual changes, but changes to the point where this is not the Islamic Republic anymore, right? Not reforming the Islamic Republic to make a better Islamic Republic, but gradual changes to the point that when we look at this is not even the Islamic. So they're calling it fundamental changes so that we could evolve out of the Islamic Republic. And then the last camp of people, so this is called the soft barandos, or soft topplers, I would say, and then the last camp are the hard topplers or hard barandos. These are the people who think like, no, this is the only way is to, for one day, we get enough people in the street, we go and by force, we just remove Khamenei from power, and then we do a revolution and get rid of the regime like that. So these are the four camps, right?
So that's
so yeah,
military power.
which one? So with regards to the last camp, there are, what I have been discussing with people is that you need eventually some military power to be able to do this. And the source of military power could come from different sources, right? It's either a foreign military that will come and help you out, right? And so there's three sources of military power. The second one is either people get armed themselves. The people in Iran don't have guns, but let's say like if they did, that they could like basically fight the regime. And the third source of armed is a coup d'etat. Like eventually, the ideas, the people are turning on the regime so much that it's the people within the regime themselves that are being convinced by the people that this is not the right regime for their people. And instead of the Iranian people being armed to topple the regime, it's the military itself that turns the gun away from the people, and towards the regime, and they do a coup d'etat. And that's how we will bring a referendum. So these are the three sources of a potential military toppling of the regime: a foreign power.
You do have an army, and you do have two army forces, though. So it makes sense in a way.
Yes, but that's what makes a coup d'etat very. So there are people who are for or against all of these three, right? So a coup d'etat is very hard to do because Khomeini, he was smart to create IRGC as an anti-coup measure against the Artesh, which is the main military, that was the main military of Iran. This is what Khomeini did, and Khomeini actually continued and made it much bigger. He created a parallel structure, an ideological, very religious structure, parallel to every single institution that we had in Iran, as an anti-coup measure. And the main one was the IRGC, that was designed as an anti-coup measure towards the main military of Iran.